It didn't just poison the people who were exposed to it during the war. It soaked into the soil, moved through the water table, entered the food chain, and decades later, researchers are still mapping how far it traveled and what it continues to do to living things in its path. Dioxin, the toxic contaminant present in Agent Orange and the other herbicides sprayed across Vietnam between 1962 and 1971, is among the most persistent organic pollutants ever studied by environmental science. Unlike compounds that break down relatively quickly when exposed to sunlight, water, and biological processes, dioxin binds tightly to soil particles and accumulates in fatty tissue of living organisms, moving up the food chain with each predator that consumes contaminated prey, a process called biomagnification that concentrates the compound to significantly higher levels in top predators than existed in the original exposure source. American aircraft sprayed approximately 20 million gallons of herbicide over roughly 4.5 million acres of Vietnamese land across a 9-year period. The areas of heaviest spraying, particularly around former American air bases and along transportation corridors where defoliation was most intensive, became what environmental scientists now call dioxin hotspots. Areas where soil and sediment contamination remains measurably elevated decades after the last spraying mission flew. Da Nang Air Base, one of the primary storage and loading points for herbicide operations, has been identified as one of the most severely contaminated sites, with dioxin levels in certain soil samples measured at concentrations thousands of times above internationally recognized safety thresholds. American and Vietnamese governments eventually negotiated a cleanup program that began soil remediation work at Da Nang in 2012, 40 years after the spraying stopped. Vietnamese health researchers have documented elevated rates of certain birth defects, cancers, and developmental disabilities in communities living near former spraying areas and dioxin hotspots. Though establishing definitive causal links in specific cases remains scientifically complex in ways that have sometimes been used to delay remediation and compensation efforts. The war ended in 1975. The dioxin did not get the message. Did you know dioxin contamination from the war is still being cleaned up in Vietnam today? Tell me in the comments, and follow for more ongoing legacies of this war.